All right, we are on day 9. We're getting so close to the finish line. Can you see it? It's like right there. We're getting there. So today we're going to be continuing our second card. We're going to be hopefully finishing it or getting close to that, finish point. So make sure that you are taking out all your supplies that we need. All of our painting supplies, of course, and our packet that has the king, queen, jack, joker, all those things. Scissors and glue to glue that stuff down. And then just the same painting supplies that we've been taking out for the last few class periods. So here we go. Let's get going on this. So last class, we should have painted, or at least gotten a lot of it done for our second one. Whatever you don't have done yet, as far as painting goes, we want to finish that first, okay? So if I'm going to be, let's say I'm putting in a background here, well, I'm going to want to do that. Whatever we're doing with paint, that happens before we move on to this next step that I'm about to show you. But we're going to pretend my painting is done. I'm not going to do a background on this one. So next step would be to kind of touch up with permanent marker any of those lines on the edges. This just kind of helps, like when we paint a lot of times, those edges, let me see if I can get in a little close here. You can kind of see like here, like I've painted over the top of the outline, and it looks a little bit, not crisp, not clean, not professional. So I'm going to want to come back in then with my permanent marker, carefully, slowly make sure there are no siblings or pets or cousins or anything nearby to like bump your elbow. We don't want that. Anyway, I'm going to go over these lines now with my permanent marker and just kind of sharpen everything up so that it looks really nice and crisp and clean, almost as if it was in a coloring book. Okay, so I'm going over all of those. If you need to, for some more of the detail spots, if you have one of these really thin tip markers, feel free to use that if you need to. Like maybe I would use that in some of these spaces that are a little more tight. Kind of help crisp those lines up in there too. Or maybe like here with the gills. Just help define that. So basically I'm just kind of cleaning up any of those edges, those lines, making them look sharp. Okay? So that's going to be one of the next steps that we want before we consider it finished. So I would do that to the whole thing. Take your time on that. That does not need to be rushed by any means. Once again, if you wanted that pattern background, get that on there too before doing that. But then once this is all kind of like, it's looking good, it's looking completed, we want to get our symbol in the corner. So you guys should have this packet. It's got just a whole bunch of different symbols in it. So go ahead and get that out, and you're just going to decide what symbol do you want. For this one I chose king because, well, he looks kingly, right? It's got the crown, it's got the fancy fur thing, the scepter, looking like a king over here, kingfish. So I cut out what did I use? The king of clubs. I had cut that out with my scissors and then glued that down to each of the corners. Remember, whatever corner you do it here, flip the paper around and it should be in the same corner. So it shouldn't be like king here and king there, right? We need it to be opposite corners like you would see on an actual playing card. So yeah, now I've got them both completed. And of course, we always want to make sure whenever we are finished, you want to make sure that you're photographing them right away. Even if you're not getting them into your art journal, at least you've got the photographs so that if anything should happen between today and next class, you don't have to start over. You don't have to feel awful. So find somewhere with some nice natural light, lay them down flat, get those photographs of each of them on your phone, on your Chromebook, wherever they're going to be safe. And then if you want to, you can go ahead and put them into your art journal right away, but more on that tomorrow. At least get the photographs taken as soon as they are done. Okay? Another thing I should mention too is once you're finished, if you want to, you can also upload your beautiful artwork into the Hall of Frame. And you get to choose if you want to just do one or the other, or you want to have both of them. Either way is fine, but come on in to our Hall of Frame, click on that, and get those beautiful images on in here. Claim your frame by putting in your name down below. Okay. Of course, please make sure you're not touching anyone else's slide. The only reason we should even be like typing or doing anything onto somebody else's slide is if we are making a wonderful comment to them, which is this little like speech bubble, add comment with the plus sign. If you want to add some positivity to somebody else's life and say like, hey, that's amazing, great job, great. But we shouldn't actually be going in here and changing anything to anyone else's slide. And of course, make sure everything is positive and school appropriate and wonderful, like you all are. All right. One last thing I just wanted to touch on then as well. If you're going for that extra credit, I kind of gave you a couple different options. One of them just being make a third card. Something totally different than your first card and your second card. Just make a third card, extend your learning that way. So that's one of the options. The other option, of course, was to change the intensity of one of your cards. So I took this card and I had put it up. We're pretending once again that this is a window. I had put it up against the window. I took a blank, taped it. I took a blank piece of paper, taped that on top, and then I used my pencil to trace it, right? But now my goal is going to be, since my first one, the colors were really intense, straight out of the tube. For this one, I'm going to be doing the same colors, but with less intensity. I'm mixing my colors with gray to create a tone. Maybe yours already is less intense. Remember, I said last class that you could do yours where if yours is already mixed, well, now let's try them straight out of the tube instead and get that super intense color. So I'm just going to take a quick pause here to show that one more time. So I've got my painter's palette, and like I said, I'm going to be using a tone, which is, tone is when we have a color plus gray. So I'm going to be mixing the gray first. Black is such a powerful color, especially in comparison to white. So I only want a teeny tiny dab of it, which is why I always put it off to the side so that I can measure the exact amount that I'm going to be using. Let's see, what brush do I want today? Something kind of mid-sized. I think we'll go for this guy. That one looks good. Okay, so I'm going to grab a teeny corner of black and mix it with that white there. Remember, you can always add more in, but you cannot take it away. So start slow. That looks like a decent gray there. So now I already did all my blues from yesterday. Of course, I'm going to go back in and define those lines once I'm done painting, but I gotta finish painting first. So next I'm going to do, I use the primary colors, so next I'm going to do the red mix with it. So I'm going to just put the red maybe off to the side right here. There we go. And we're going to mix that on in with the gray, starting slow. I only added a little bit. I can always add more. I think I might. Yeah, I might add just a little bit more to get the hue that I'm looking for. The right color. Maybe even a little more yet. So definitely I want it to be still understood as red. So just a tone. A grayish red. There we go. That's looking good. So now I'm going to look at my original and see what parts are red. So it's kind of like this sash part. So right here. And we're just going to work on that. I can tell already I'm going to need a smaller paintbrush too to get in some of these areas. But that is one of the ideas for extra credit is to do just the same card, but with a different kind of color intensity. So once again, whether you started off less intense and you're going more intense, or the opposite, like I'm doing, I started off very intense and I'm making it less intense. Up to you. And of course up to you if you even want to do the extra credit or have time for it. But it's an idea. It's out there for you. Take it or leave it. Have fun. So tomorrow is turn-in day. Just make sure that you're ready for that. Don't forget to photograph your images, and I will see you again then. Happy painting!